Welcome to the Cheating and Love Tales channel. Sound of a deleted message, I hear it. A soft electronic beep that echoes in the stillness of my dark living room. It's almost 3 in the morning, but I'm wide awake. My finger lingers over the phone screen. One swipe, and the message is gone, replaced by silence. Becky's last text to me. Her feeble attempt at explanation vanishes before my eyes. My breath is shallow, but my mind is on fire. My wedding ring taps against the phone's casing as I set it aside. I'm thinking about her words, her excuses, and the ugly truth beneath them. She once said, "We had nothing," as if that would wash away the scent of him. I remember the moment she said it, tense shoulders, eyes darting left and right, voice trembling. There was a time I believed every syllable that fell from her lips. Not anymore. I slide my phone onto the coffee table, hearing it scrape against the wood. That tiny noise, in this hush, feels like thunder. I try to close my eyes, but the images won't stop. My imagination replays them, a looping reel of her and him. Dant Flores. His name almost tastes bitter in my mouth. I remember once catching him on the radio at dawn. His voice was a low rumble that Becky found irresistible. She'd always mention his charisma. She said it was a professional admiration. But now I know better. I know everything, and that knowledge has teeth. I glance at the clock on the wall. The old second hand limps along, each click throbbing in my head. Outside, the wind rattles the branches against the window. Inside, the quiet is deafening. In that quiet, I start my calculation. How to kill trust in 3 steps. I never planned to become this man, this calm, methodical stranger in my own house. But here I am. Step 1. Withhold forgiveness. Step 2. Strip away the illusions. Step 3. Deliver finality. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's cruel. But I feel that coldness like a living thing, and cold is still an emotion. I remember the first time I suspected something. It was a Monday night, 2 months ago. I had come home early, expecting dinner, conversation, maybe a kiss hello. Instead, I found Becky in the bedroom, hair messy, her blouse half-buttoned. She smiled too quickly and said she just showered, except her hair was bone-dry. Something in her voice cracked. I tasted the metallic sting of betrayal even before I fully grasped it. But that was just a suspicion. The evidence came later. The lab results. Our son, no, her son, someone else's son, came from this affair. A single phone call at 3:15 a.m. confirming everything I feared. I try to push those thoughts out of my head, but the more I push, the louder they get. So I do what I always do. I get up. The living room couch squeaks as I stand. My feet move across the cold hardwood floor. It's so quiet in here that I can hear my own heartbeat. I open the door to the hallway, stepping carefully to avoid the spots that groan under pressure. Outside her bedroom, our bedroom. I pause. For a moment, I consider going in, perhaps to confront her, perhaps to watch her sleep. Instead, I keep walking. In the bathroom mirror, I see my reflection. I look like a man who's been awake for days. Stubble creeps along my jaw. Heavy circles bruise the skin under my eyes. My hair is disheveled, sticking up at odd angles. My lips pressed together in a tight line. This is the face of a stranger, a man shaped by lies. I rinse my face with cold water, wishing that such a small act could wash away the memory of her breathless excuses. I can almost smell Dant's cologne in the air. Real or imagined, it's there, mixing with the faint aroma of her shampoo, a scent once comforting. Now it's a cruel reminder. I flick off the bathroom light and make my way back to the couch, but I don't lie down. My mind replays the second I fully realized she was with another man. I had found a note in her purse. Handwriting not her own. A date scribbled in the corner. The next day, she came home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine. I'd confronted her, and she swore it was a coworker's perfume, that they'd all been out at a networking event. I wanted to believe her so desperately. So I did, half blind, half hopeful, until the phone call from the lab changed everything. I can't relax. My blood pounds. My fists clench. I walk to the kitchen, open the cabinet, and pull out a small whiskey bottle. I pour a shot, then another, ignoring the burn as it slides down my throat. It does nothing for me, though. The ache remains. No matter how I try to drown it, the betrayal floats back to the surface. Eventually, I decide to do something that terrifies me more than anything. I walk quietly to the other end of the house, to the baby's room. The door is slightly ajar. Soft moonlight seeps through the curtains, illuminating the crib. My heart cramps in my chest. He's asleep, small arms splayed out. I can see faintly the contour of his cheeks, his tiny nose. For months, I rocked him, fed him, called him my son. Yet now I stand there, unsure if I have any right to even watch him sleep. A tear skates down my cheek before I can stop it. My voice breaks in a whisper. I'm sorry, I say, not even sure who I'm apologizing to, him or myself. I want to hold him, but a wave of cold, stinging bitterness stops me. Is that a father's place now? Or is that just some man intruding in a baby's life? That question burns so hot that I can barely stay in the room. I stagger back, placing my hand on the doorframe to steady myself. I step into the hallway and close the door carefully, sealing in the child who might never be mine. I lean against the wall. My breath trembles. And that's when I hear it, the slow creak of a floorboard. I turn and see Becky standing there, arms wrapped around herself, eyes wide. She's in her robe, hair loose around her shoulders. Her expression is half guilt, half sorrow. We stare at each other in the dim light. She tries to speak, but her lips barely move. I see her eyes flick to the baby's door, then back to me. I say nothing. I just wait. She opens her mouth again, maybe to explain or defend herself, but the words won't come out. Good, I think. Let her feel the choking pressure. Matt, she finally manages to say. Her voice is small, like a child's. You're scaring me. I press my palm against my face and exhale sharply. I'm scaring you. The irony is too thick to swallow. That's rich. She steps forward, arms still clutched around her body, as if she's cold. I don't know what to do, she says. I let out a hollow laugh. Tell me honestly, I say, and my voice trembles. Tell me the truth I already know, Becky. Look me in the eye and say his name. Or maybe you'd rather just keep lying. My voice cracks at the end, but I hold her gaze. She doesn't answer. Tears form in her eyes, yet they don't move me. Not this time. There was a day when her tears broke me. Now they just make me angrier. She swallows hard. I said it was nothing. It was a mistake. I nod slowly, a humorless smile tugging at my lips. A mistake. Funny how you call it that. Because to me, it looks like a whole other life you started behind my back. You had a child with him. Our whole marriage. A lie. No. She shakes her head, tears falling freely. It wasn't all a lie. Matt, please. I raise my hand, cutting her off. Don't. Not now. I can't talk about this here. My anger seeps through clenched teeth. Go back to bed, Becky. My words are sharper than the quiet. She lingers, wanting to say more, but I sidestep her and walk away, letting the conversation dangle in the silence. I don't trust myself to hear another lame excuse. Not when every fiber in my body is screaming for some kind of retribution. The couch welcomes me again, but I don't sleep. Morning comes like a thief, stealing the last bits of darkness. I've barely blinked all night. My phone buzzes once more. I'm half expecting it to be Daunt's voice, a smug message, or a confession. Instead, it's just an automated reminder about a dentist appointment. I ignore it. Around 7, I hear stirring in the kitchen. I remain still, listening to the clinks of plates, the soft hum of the refrigerator. Normally, I'd wander in, greet Becky, maybe share a quick kiss before heading off to work. But that normal is gone. Now the thought of stepping into that same room with her churns my stomach. Eventually, she calls out, "Matt, there's coffee, if you want." Her tone is timid. I realize I need to face this. Face her. I push myself off the couch, run a hand through my messy hair, and straighten my shirt. My entire body feels tense. When I enter the kitchen, Becky is by the counter, 2 mugs in front of her. She's wearing her bathrobe. There's a trembling in her hands that rattles the mug against the countertop. She sees me and tries a weak smile. "Morning," she says. I say nothing. Instead, I walk over, take the mug she's prepared for me, and set it aside without taking a sip. She breathes in, then out, steeling herself. "We need to talk about last night." I let out a low breath, forcing my gaze onto her. "We do. But before that, tell me one thing, Becky. Did you love him?" She blinks, eyes widening. Then, barely audible, "I don't know." The answer tears at me. That's the worst possible reply. "I don't know" is more damning than yes or no. She places a trembling hand on my arm. "Please, Matt, I never meant to hurt you. I was just lost." I jerk away as if her touch is acid. Lost. Sure. She closes her eyes. That he was exciting. He made me feel. I grab the edge of the counter. My voice shakes with rage I can barely contain. "He made you feel what? Alive? Special? Because apparently I never did that for you. Was that it?" "No," she says, voice rising. "That's not true. You have to understand. We'd been drifting apart." Stop, I snap. "Don't try to rewrite history and blame me. You had plenty of chances to tell me we were drifting. Instead, you slept with a man." Whoa. My voice breaks, but I push through it. "A man who gave you a child, Becky." Her eyes glisten with tears again, and she covers her mouth. "I am so sorry." I stare at her for a long moment, noticing how the sunlight hits her hair, how her cheeks flush with regret. Once upon a time, that sight would have softened me. Now, I feel only numbness. The baby begins to cry in the other room, a small, hungry wail that intensifies the tension. Becky glances over her shoulder and starts to move. "I'll go," I say firmly. My voice is surprisingly calm, even to me. Without waiting for her response, I walk out of the kitchen and into the nursery. He's there, fists balled, face red, tears streaming down those tiny cheeks. My heart twists. Gently, I pick him up, supporting his head like I've done 100 times before. He quiets almost immediately. I watch his eyes. They remind me of Becky's, dark, searching. Something tugs at my insides. For a moment, it's just me and this little boy I've loved as my son. In the silence, I can almost pretend none of this is real. Then Becky stands at the door, watching me. I catch her gaze. It's an unspoken question. "Do you still love him?" And another question. "Do you still love me?" I wish I had an answer. After a few beats, I hand her the baby. My voice emerges in a hoarse whisper. "He's hungry." I don't look at her as I pass him over. My eyes avoid hers. She takes him, and I leave. The house suddenly feels like a cage. I rush through a shower, get dressed in my usual work clothes, button-down shirt, slacks, and slip out of the house. I can't stand the suffocating air in there. I drive to the office on autopilot, radio turned off. I'm in no mood for Don's voice, or any voice, really. I park in my usual spot, but I just sit there, keys in the ignition, engine ticking. My hands grip the steering wheel. My mind's replaying everything. The look on Becky's face, the baby, the night she claimed she was working late, the swirling illusions that are now shattered. I remember the first time I heard Don's show. It was on an early morning commute. Becky was still asleep. He had a bold, magnetic voice, smooth, confident. I pictured a man with perfect teeth, wearing a sharp suit, radiating cocky charm. Becky once mentioned working closely with him for a segment. I didn't think much of it. How stupid I was. The sour taste in my mouth intensifies. Outside, I'm drawn to an alley behind the building. I just stand there, leaning against the cold brick wall, trying to breathe. A swirl of garbage, an old newspaper page, scuttles by in the wind. I feel like that worthless scrap of paper, tossed around by forces bigger than me. My mind wanders to how everything started unraveling. The moment I found Becky's phone unlocked, the moment I saw that suspicious text, the note in her purse, the conversation I overheard on the radio, hearing a male voice describe an encounter in terms that mirrored the shape of my life. "She's got this incredible energy," he said. "You can't help but fall under her spell. I recognize her style, her preference for a certain fragrance, her softness in certain moments," and a shockwave rumbled through me. I can't stomach any food, so I skip lunch entirely and head home. But as I approach the driveway, I notice her car is gone. She's out somewhere. Maybe with him, maybe not. The uncertainty gnaws at me. I step into the house. Everything is still. The echoes of our morning argument linger in the air. Toys lie scattered in the living room. Photos of us, smiling, hugging, line the walls. I can't bear to look at them. I open a closet, pull out a cardboard box, and start removing framed pictures from the wall. Our wedding photo is first. I stare at it. The day I promised her forever. The day she looked me in the eye and said the same. Betrayal tastes like rust in my mouth. I wrap the photo in an old towel and place it in the box. One by one, I strip the walls of our history, stacking them away in grim silence. At some point, my phone buzzes again. This time, a call. I glance at the screen. Private number. Something inside me says it's him. I let it ring, then go to voicemail. I check the message. Sure enough, a male voice. "Matt, man, I don't even know if you'll listen, but we need to talk. I know how this looks, and..." I delete it before he finishes. I'm not interested in hearing him scramble for absolution. The baby's cry echoes through the house. Becky must have dropped him off with me, or maybe she set him down for a nap before she left. That's right. Today's her day off at the station. She might be out searching for solace. Anger twists my gut. Let her run around. I'm here, holding the pieces of this broken home. I find the baby in his crib, stirring awake. His little fists flail, eyes blinking. Instinctively, I scoop him up, cradle him, bounce him gently. He calms. For a few moments, I let myself feel that old fatherly warmth. Then a wave of bitterness smothers it. How can I love someone who isn't mine? But how can I not? He's innocent in this. He didn't ask for a father who isn't really a father. He coos quietly, unaware of the chaos around him. I press my lips to his forehead. My throat tightens. I want to cry, but the tears don't come. I manage to feed him from a bottle. Then I set him back down with a soft blanket. He stares at me with those big eyes, as though trying to figure out why I'm so upset. I can't meet his gaze for long. There's too much guilt, too much heartbreak. So I brush a hand over his tiny head and slip out. Back in the living room, I finish piling all our shared memories into the corner. My heart thuds. This is step 2 of my plan. Strip away the illusions. Becky won't come home to the cozy pictures of our wedding, our honeymoon, our Christmas gatherings. She'll come home to blank walls. Hours pass before I hear the front door open. I'm seated on the couch, staring at nothing. She steps inside, carrying a paper grocery bag. She looks from me to the blank walls, then to the box. Realization dawns in her eyes. She sets the bag down slowly. "You're removing our photos?" she asks, voice trembling. I nod, keeping my expression stone-like. "Yes," she swallows. Because they mean nothing." I cut in. "They're worthless illusions, like everything else you sold me. The harshness in my voice startles even me. She takes a halting step forward. That's not fair, Matt. Fair. I nearly choke on the word. You want fair. I stand up, crossing the room in 2 strides. Let's talk about what's fair. Fair would have been telling me the second you felt something for him. Fair would have been warning me that our marriage was on a cliff's edge. Fair would have been letting me know that this child, that he wasn't mine. Tears gather at the corners of her eyes, but I can't let her tears weaken my resolve. Where were you? I demand. She pulls the grocery bag closer, as if for protection. I went to see a friend. I bark a mirthless laugh. Which friend? Don't. No. Her voice quivers, but she meets my gaze. I went to my brother's place. He told me to give you space. He said you might need time. I curl my lip. Time for what? Time to keep playing the fool. She squeezes her eyes shut. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But we can't just burn everything down. We have a child. My chest tightens. Stop calling him our child. You lost that right when you let him be fathered by another man. She inhales a shaky breath. Matt, you don't mean that. You've loved him since the day he was born. I look away, unable to endure the heartbreak in her eyes. I'm done, I say softly, my voice trained of warmth. I don't want to fight. I don't have the strength. She stands there, uncertain, the bag of groceries rustling in her arms. Finally, she moves to the kitchen. I hear items being placed in the fridge, the pantry. She's trying to go through the motions of a normal life. But I can't let normalcy remain. Normal ended when betrayal walked in. I approached the kitchen doorway, leaning on the frame. We need to settle things. She sets a carton of milk on the shelf and turns to me. What do you mean? I take a measured breath. I want a divorce. The words hang between us. Her face crumples, and she drops her gaze. For a second, she stands there, hugging herself, tears spilling. She tries to speak, but no sound emerges. Then she forces out, "It's too soon. We haven't tried counseling, we haven't." Too late, I interrupt. My trust in you is dead, and I refuse to pretend it can be resurrected. She sets both hands on the counter, shoulders trembling. Matt, I know it's awful right now, but divorcing so quickly. Can we just talk? I close my eyes. What's left to talk about? You lied. You made me believe I was the father of your child. For months, Becky. Months. And now every time I see that baby, I'm torn between loving him and hating everything he represents. She winces. I never wanted it to be like this. I made mistakes. I was seduced by something new, something dangerous. But I swear I only wanted you after that. I tried to end it with him. Tried. Past tense. I can't listen anymore. I spin on my heel, heading back to the living room. She follows, but I keep walking until I reach the stairs that lead to my small home office. I sense her behind me, each step trailing after me. I get to the office and turn abruptly. Stop, I say. She halts, a trembling hush between us. I flick on the overhead light. The room is cramped, with shelves of books and a desk cluttered with unpaid bills and half-finished reports. I'm going to pack a few things, I say, my tone cold. I'll find somewhere else to stay tonight. She wraps her arms around herself again. Matt, don't go. Please. Her eyes, wet with tears, search mine. Once upon a time, that would have been enough to keep me. Not now. I can't be in this house, I say, voice wavering slightly. I can't sleep here next to you. I can't pass that nursery without feeling like a monster. She reaches out, but I back away. Don't, I warn. Her hand hangs in the air, then drops. Fine, she whispers. If you think that's what you need. It's not about need, I say, staring at her. It's about survival. She closes her eyes. Tears slip down her cheeks, and I turn away. I open the closet in the office, pull out a duffel bag, and begin stuffing clothes into it. Becky watches me, silent. Each item of clothing that goes into the bag feels like a funeral for our marriage. She steps closer. I feel her presence but keep my back turned. "You said it yourself," she murmurs. "You love that baby." Her words slice through me. I pause, shirt in my hands, heart pounding. That's exactly why this is killing me. She doesn't respond. I sense her slow retreat from the room. Once she's gone, I exhale. My chest feels tight, as if someone has locked me in a vice. I toss the shirt into the bag and shut the closet door with more force than necessary. The sound reverberates in the small space, echoing my anger and heartbreak. Night settles over the house. Becky avoids me, and I avoid her. We circle each other like ghosts. At around 9 o'clock, I hear the baby crying again. This time, Becky handles it. I remain upstairs, finishing the last of my packing and answering a couple of work emails. A mechanical routine, all to keep from confronting the suffocating truth. Eventually, footsteps approach, soft and hesitant. Then a knock on the doorframe. Becky stands there, her eyes puffy from crying. "I put him to sleep," she says quietly. I nod. "Good." She steps in, her voice hushed. "He likes when you rock him." He settled pretty fast. I stiffen. What do you want me to say to that? That I'm sorry I'm not rocking him tonight. That I'm sorry you made a liar out of me. She closes her eyes. "Please don't do this. Don't turn every word into a knife." I set my laptop aside and stand up. I'm done packing. I'll stay at a hotel for now. She wrings her hands. "Matt, we should talk about custody or parenting." I grab my duffel bag, slinging it over my shoulder. My anger flares. "Parenting? You mean me playing dad to another man's kid?" Her face contorts. "He's still your son. You raised him these months. Biology doesn't have to take that away." I laugh bitterly, shaking my head. "Why don't you ask Dante if he wants to dad up? Maybe that's your solution." She reaches out, tears in her eyes, but I brush past her. My footsteps echo down the stairs. I hear her behind me, her breathing ragged with panic. "Matt, wait." I reach the door and halt. My hand grips the doorknob so tightly my knuckles turn white. I speak without looking at her. "I'm leaving quietly." I say, no shouting, no threats, no rage. Because all that's left in me is emptiness. "Congratulations, Becky. You finally hollowed me out." Then I open the door and walk into the cool night air, letting it hit me like a slap. Behind me, the door closes with a gentle click. I spend the night at a shabby motel on the outskirts of town. Cigarette smoke lingers in the walls, and the faucet drips incessantly in the bathroom. I throw my bag on the bed and slump into a chair, phone in hand. I scroll through missed calls. Becky tried to reach me 3 times. A message from her sits unread. I ignore it, exhausted as I am. Sleep doesn't come. My mind conjures images of Becky in bed with Dante, his body pressed to hers, her soft moans. My heart twists into knots. I rub my hands over my face and remind myself not to sink into that spiral. But it's too late. The betrayal is an infection, festering in my thoughts. Every few minutes, a surge of anger pulses through me, followed by a cold, hollow feeling. I recall the times she said she was working late. I picture her desk at the radio station, some half-lit studio, the hush of soundproof walls as he kisses her. My stomach churns. Eventually, I flick on the TV to drown out my own head. Some late-night infomercial. It's mindless, but I don't care. I stare blankly, letting the over-enthusiastic pitchman talk at me. Anything to block out the mental images. That's how I pass the hours, until the sun creeps in through the flimsy curtains. Morning arrives, and I force myself to face it. I drag myself into the bathroom, take a cold shower, and put on a fresh shirt from my bag. My phone buzzes with another call. My mother. I don't answer. She's probably wondering why I missed her usual phone check-in last night. I can't handle explaining all this just yet. I decide to grab a coffee from the motel lobby. It's bland and watery, but it's hot. I gulp it down as I walk to my car, bracing for another day. My mind circles around how best to proceed. The divorce, the living arrangements, the child. My heart pangs. That kid didn't ask for any of this. He deserves better than two warring adults. But I can't see a solution that doesn't involve me cutting ties. As I pull out of the parking lot, my phone buzzes again. I glance at the screen. Private number. Dante, I'm sure. I hesitate, then accept the call. I keep silent, waiting. Matt. His voice, low and cautious. I figured you might not want to talk, but I need to say something. Please don't hang up. My grip tightens on the steering wheel. You have 30 seconds. Go. He exhales. I'm sorry. I never intended to hurt you. I know how it looks. I know it's terrible. But it just happened. Becky was lonely. And I cut him off, teeth clenched. Stop making excuses. Is the baby yours? A pause, then a defeated exhale. Yes. It's like a punch to my gut, even though I already knew. So why call me now, Dante? I wanted you to hear it from me. I'm not proud. I'm ashamed, honestly. But I need you to know that I never planned to interfere with your marriage. It was a one-time thing, at first. Then it got complicated. One-time thing that resulted in a child. I say, voice dripping with scorn. That's some luck. He clears his throat. Look, Becky wanted to end it. She tried. I respected that, for the most part. But the baby, we didn't know until a few weeks after. She told me it was over. I backed off. Then she told me she was pregnant, and everything changed. She said you wanted a child so badly, and I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. Enough. My voice trembles with barely suppressed rage. You think this explanation makes any difference? You too had an affair. You had a kid, and you kept it from me. You're just another selfish man chasing thrills, and you used my wife to get them. He's silent for a moment. I won't fight you for custody, he says softly. If that's your concern. Custody. The word itself feels like nails on chalkboard. I don't even know if I want custody. He's not mine. But you love him, Dante says quietly. The phone shakes in my hand. The echo of that statement reverberates in my head. Do me a favor, I say, my voice low, menacing. Never tell me what I feel again. Then I hang up. My stomach is in knots. I realize I'm gripping the steering wheel so hard my wrists ache. The coffee in my system doesn't help. I feel wired, furious, raw. I slam my fist against the dashboard, letting out a guttural yell. Then I take a deep breath and pull back onto the main road. At work, I try to drown myself in tasks again, but my concentration is shot. The entire day is a blur of forced politeness, half-answered emails, and me avoiding eye contact. My phone dings periodically with messages, some from Becky, some from my mother, a few from concerned friends. I ignore them all. Around noon, I step out to get fresh air. My coworker, John, follows me outside, looking worried. You okay, Matt? He asks gently. You look wrecked. I exhale, studying the gray sky. I'm fine, just personal stuff. He nods, not prying. Well, if you ever need to talk, man, I'm here. I press my lips together in a fleeting smile. Thanks. We stand in silence for a moment. Then he heads back in. I remain there, leaning against the exterior wall of the office building. My mind replays Dante's voice on the phone, Becky's tearful eyes, the baby's quiet coos. Then I remember the plan, that methodical approach I thought of last night, how to kill trust in 3 steps. I realize I'm halfway there. I withheld forgiveness. I stripped away illusions by taking down those pictures. Now the final blow. Deliver finality. Actually end this. For good. A sharp wind whips through the parking lot, forcing me to button my jacket. Everything feels cold. And that's precisely my state of mind. A pang of guilt surfaces. I used to be a man who believed in second chances, who believed in reconciliation. But Becky's betrayal is too deep. I'd brush off the guilt. I need a divorce lawyer. That's the next step. Step 3. The final step to kill what's left of this marriage. If she wants to keep the child, fine. Let her and Dad sort out fatherhood. I'll vanish from their lives, a ghost of broken promises. After work, I drive downtown, phone in hand, searching for a lawyer's number that a friend gave me years ago. I find it in my old email archives and dial. The assistant sets up an appointment for the next day, mid-afternoon. Everything feels mechanical, as if I'm following a script. I take it as a good sign. Numbness is better than pain. I treat myself to a meal at a nearby diner, but I barely taste it. I just know I need something in my stomach, so the emptiness won't consume me. After paying the tab, I return to my motel room. The stale smell greets me. The TV's still there, a mindless companion. I drop onto the bed and scroll through messages again. One from Becky stands out. "Matt, please come home tonight. Let's talk." I shake my head, heart hammering in my chest. Part of me longs to see the baby again, to hold him. But the larger part of me screams that it's better to cut ties now. Still, I can't block the image of his tiny hands gripping my finger. I toss the phone aside. My gaze wanders around the dingy room. The thought of spending another night here feels suffocating, but returning home feels worse. So I endure. I pass the night flipping between news channels and sporadically dozing off, waking every hour to the same sense of dread. The next day, at the lawyer's office, I find myself in a sterile waiting room, stale coffee brewing in the corner. My mind drifts to Becky, how we used to tease each other about law dramas on TV. The memory stings. Finally, I'm called in. Mr. Harlow sits behind a wide wooden desk. He has salt and pepper hair and a fatherly demeanor. "Matthew Clifford, right?" He greets me. "Have a seat." I sit, fidgeting with my hands in my lap. He flips through some papers. "So you want a divorce? Any kids involved?" I swallow. "One, but he's not biologically mine." He arches an eyebrow. "Okay, that's complicated. Are you on the birth certificate?" I nod. "Yes." "Well, that means the state may see you as the legal father," he says, leaning back in his chair. "If you want to disclaim paternity, we can try. But it'll require some legal steps, and possibly a court hearing. It won't be straightforward." A hollow feeling sinks into my chest. "I just want to be free," I mutter. He jots down notes, nodding. "We'll do what we can. As for property, do you share a house, mortgage?" I hesitate, then nod. "Yes, we do." I'm fine with letting her keep it. He gives me a measured look. "That's generous. Are you sure?" "Yeah," I say it, voice raw. "It's full of memories I don't want. She can have it." "All right," he replies, scribbling more notes. "We'll draw up the documents, propose an arrangement. She can sign or contest. We'll see how it goes." The conversation continues, covering assets, finances, the formalities of splitting a life in two. By the end, I feel drained. I leave the office with an armful of forms, an appointment for next week, and a sense that I'm marching toward a final collision with Becky. That evening, I decide to see the baby one last time, if only to say goodbye. I drive to the house, noticing Becky's car in the driveway. My heart pounds like a drum in my chest as I pull up. For a moment, I sit there, engine running, hand on the key. Then I shut it off and step out. I open the front door with my key. The living room lights are dim. Becky appears from the kitchen, the baby in her arms. The sight of him stirs 1,000 emotions in me. She glances at me with cautious hope. "You came," she says quietly. I nod, stepping inside. I notice the box of photos I packed is still in the corner. She hasn't moved it. The baby wiggles in her arms, letting out a small laugh. He's happy to see me, or so it seems. Becky shifts him so I can take him if I want. Hesitating just a second, I reach out and cradle him. He's gotten heavier. He looks at me with wide eyes, gurgling. My throat tightens. This child who's known me as Dad all his short life is now a constant reminder of her betrayal. And yet, he's also a reminder of the love I once felt, the paternal instincts that refused to let me walk away. Becky wipes at her eyes. I'm sorry, Matt. Every day I'm sorry. I keep my gaze on the baby. I saw a lawyer. I say, my tone flat. She trembles. I thought you might. I nod, rocking the baby gently. I just wanted to see him, before everything changes. Her voice wavers. Everything's already changed. But maybe we can still talk. Find some compromise. We can co-parent. He needs you. I swallow the lump in my throat. I can't co-parent a child who reminds me of your infidelity every time I look at him. She cringes. That's so cruel. I look up at her, tears stinging my own eyes. It's the truth. You want me to play house, pretend I'm okay with raising Don's kid. I can't. I'm not built that way. She steps closer. What about love? You told me you believed in unconditional love. My voice breaks. Unconditional love doesn't survive repeated lies, Becky. She tries to speak again, but the baby fusses. I hand him back, whispering a soft goodbye into his ear. Then I walk past her, heading upstairs to the nursery. I stand there, gazing at the little stuffed toys and pastel decorations. I feel Becky's presence behind me. Her breath catches as she sees me running my hand over the crib's edge. You can still be part of his life, she says, desperation in her voice. I let out a slow exhale. No, that would kill me. A sob chokes out of her. She steps away, hugging the baby tight. I remain, eyes locked on the crib. The quiet pulses with heartbreak. This is the final step, I think. The final severance of whatever illusions I had left. I straighten my back and head downstairs. In the living room, I notice an envelope on the coffee table, addressed to me. I pick it up, brow furrowing. Becky comes in behind me, baby in her arms. It's the paternity confirmation, she says quietly. My stomach tightens. I don't need to open it. She sets the baby in a rocker and looks at me, tears on her cheeks. Please, Matt. I never wanted it to end this way. I never wanted to hurt you. I was just weak. For a moment, I just stare at her, wrestling with the swirl of emotions. My voice emerges in a near whisper. I loved you. That's what makes this so vile. You betrayed me for a spark of excitement. She starts to sob, tears sliding down her face. I know. I'll regret it for the rest of my life. My anger flares anew. And I'll carry the scar for the rest of mine. I set the envelope down and grab my keys from the table. My heart roars in my chest, telling me to do something, to shout, to break something, or to lash out at her. But I can't muster it. I'm drained. Instead, I turn to the door. She calls my name, but I don't look back. I walk out, closing the door softly behind me. No slam, no dramatic final words. Just the hush of leaving, a quiet severing of what once was. The next few days pass in a haze of paperwork, phone calls with lawyers, and stiff nights in my motel room. Sometimes, guilt creeps up on me. Other times, rage. But mostly, it's numb acceptance. I finalize the forms to disclaim paternity. It feels like I'm signing away a piece of my soul, but I remind myself, he wasn't mine to begin with. Becky tries to call, tries to text. I respond with cold practicality. We'll sort details through our lawyers. She begs to meet in person, but I refuse. I can't face her tears anymore. Every time I read her messages, a wave of old memories slants into me. The day we said, I do. The nights we cuddled on the couch, talking about the future. Now it's all dust. One night, around midnight, my phone lights up with a call from my mother. I sigh, knowing I can't evade her forever. I answer. Her voice is concerned, maternal instincts kicking in. Matthew, what's going on? Becky called me in tears. She said you left. I closed my eyes. Mom, it's complicated. Is it true? About the baby? I grit my teeth. News travels fast in families. Yes, it's true. She sighs heavily. Oh, Matthew, I'm so sorry. Are you sure you want a divorce? It's already in motion. Mom, I'm not turning back. She hesitates. I'm worried about you. Don't shut everyone out. You need support right now. Support. The word sounds foreign. I rub my forehead. I appreciate it. But I need to handle this my way. We talk for a few more minutes, her urging me to come visit, me making vague promises. Eventually, I hang up, feeling drained. Another wave of anger courses through me. This is Becky's mess, and I'm the one picking up the pieces of my life. The next day, I'm scheduled to sign the official divorce petition. Mr. Harlow walks me through it, line by line. The disclaiming of paternity is more complicated, requiring a separate affidavit and possibly a future court hearing. But this is the path I've chosen. I scribble my signature multiple times, each stroke feeling like a final nail in the coffin of my marriage. When it's done, I sit there, the pen trembling in my hand. Mr. Harlow offers a sympathetic smile. I know it's tough, but you're doing what's best for you. I force a nod. Yeah, I mutter. He closes the folder. We'll serve her these papers. Then we wait for her response. If she contests any terms, we'll negotiate or go to court. I swallow. Fine. Outside, the crisp air hits me as I step onto the sidewalk. I stare up at the overcast sky, feeling both free and completely shattered. A strange sensation churns in my gut, something like victory, but also intense grief. I walk to my car, fighting the urge to break down. Instead, I turn the ignition and drive. Nowhere in particular, just away from that office, away from the formality of divorce. My eyes blur. The cityscape rushes past me, a haze of buildings and traffic lights. Eventually, I find myself near the waterfront. I park and step out, hearing the squawk of seagulls overhead. Waves lap against the pier. I head to the railing, watch the water, and let the wind ruffle my hair. The salt air stings my eyes. A sense of finality stirs inside me. I'm cutting Becky from my life, cutting that child from my heart. The cruel logic is that it has to be this way. I don't know if I'll ever heal, but at least I won't be tethered to daily heartbreak. I stare at the horizon, letting my mind wander back to the day Becky told me she was pregnant. We had celebrated, hugging and laughing. I kissed her stomach, whispered about how I'd teach the kid to fish, to ride a bike, to be strong and loyal. The memory stabs me now. I guess the universe has a twisted sense of humor, giving me a father's love, then ripping it away. Days turn into weeks. The legal process inches forward. Becky's lawyers contact mine, requesting some negotiations about finances. I don't care much about money, so I instruct my lawyer to give her the house, the car, everything. I only want out. I keep to myself. Work becomes my main distraction. My boss pulls me aside one afternoon, asks if I need a leave of absence. I say no. I need structure, something to keep me from collapsing. My nights remain at the motel, though I consider finding an apartment. The baby's presence in that house keeps me from returning. Some nights, I imagine Becky and Dant raising him. Other nights, I envision Becky alone, nursing heartbreak. Either way, it's not my concern anymore, or so I tell myself. One evening, after a grueling day at work, I head back to the motel to find Becky's car parked outside my room. She's leaning against it, arms folded. My heart lurches. I roll down my window as I pull up. "What are you doing here?" I ask, turning off the ignition. Her eyes are red from crying. "We need to talk." I glance around, noticing the curious stares of a few motel patrons. Here, this is hardly. She pushes off the car, approaching my driver's side. I tried calling. "You won't pick up." I had no choice. I let out a resigned sigh and get out. We stand facing each other under the flickering motel sign. Up close, I see how thin she's become, how the guilt and sorrow weigh on her. Still, I guard my heart. "What do you want, Becky?" I ask quietly. She clasps her hands. "I wanted to see you. I wanted to tell you. I'm not contesting the divorce. I won't fight you on anything. But, could we talk? Just once, face to face, without the lawyers. For closure." I study her pained expression. A part of me wants to send her away. Another part says I owe her this last conversation. Finally, I nod toward my motel room door. "Fine. But keep it short." She follows me inside. The musty smell and worn carpet embarrass me. Once, we had a decent home, a shared bed. Now we meet like strangers in a dingy motel. I flick on the lamp, its yellowish light casting shadows. She stands by the small table, hugging herself. "So, talk," I say, trying to sound casual. My pulse thrums in my ears. She clears her throat. "The baby. He's healthy, growing. I just thought you might want to know." I nod stiffly, not trusting my voice. She continues, "I still can't believe you won't be in his life at all." It breaks my heart. My anger simmers, but I keep it contained. "You broke mine," I say quietly. She fights tears. "Matt, I was selfish, but I still love you, in my own twisted way. And I want you to be happy." My chest tightens. "I'll worry about my happiness." "Is that all?" She looks at the threadbare carpet. "No, I'd wanted to give you something." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a small envelope. It's a letter I wrote. "For you, if you ever want to read it." I take the envelope, glance at it. "I'm not sure I will." She nods, swallowing hard. "I understand. But keep it, just in case." Silence stretches. I notice the rise and fall of her shoulders, the faint tremor in her hands. Finally, she says, I'm going to move, once the divorce is final. Probably go back to Arizona. My parents will help me. Dante, he offered to support the baby, but I'm not sure what that'll look like. It's complicated." I let out a breath, unsure how to feel. Part of me is relieved she's leaving. Part of me aches with finality. "I see." She takes a step closer. "Is there anything you want to say to me, before we never see each other again?" My mind floods with 1,000 thoughts. Accusations, regrets, questions. But in the end, all I can manage is, "I wish you hadn't lied." Tears slip down her cheeks. "Me too. I'm sorry, Matt." I swallow the lump in my throat. I have nothing else to say. She nods, tears shining. "Then, good luck. I'll always regret hurting you." Without another word, she turns and walks out of the room. The door clicks shut behind her. I wait, listening to her footsteps fade. Then I slump onto the edge of the bed, the envelope in my hand. A wave of sorrow washes over me, heavier than before. I toss the envelope onto the nightstand and bury my face in my hands. Maybe this is the last time I'll ever see her. The final nail in the coffin. 2 weeks later, the divorce is finalized. We sign on the dotted lines, a quiet hearing in front of a judge. Becky stands to one side with her attorney, me on the other with mine. We barely look at each other. The baby isn't there. The judge goes through the motions, finalizes everything. With that strike of the gavel, our marriage dissolves. For a moment, I feel a surge of dizziness. Then it passes. Outside the courthouse, Becky and I exchange a single glance. There's no hug, no dramatic meltdown. I nod stiffly, and she nods in return. Then we go our separate ways. In the parking lot, I clutch my jacket tight against a gust of wind. The weight in my chest feels slightly lighter, but the scars remain. I drive back to the motel, my official papers lying on the passenger seat. The phone rings. Mom again. This time, I pick up. "It's done," I tell her. She sighs, voice thick with sympathy. "I'm so sorry. Do you want to come home for a bit?" I pause. "I might. I need some time to think." She whispers a motherly reassurance, and we hang up. That night, alone in my motel room, I stare at the blank TV screen. The silence amplifies every memory. I think about the baby's face, the softness of Becky's skin, the mornings we spent laughing over breakfast, all gone. I remind myself that this is what had to happen. Eventually, I notice the envelope she gave me, half buried under my scattered belongings. Curiosity tugs at me. I pick it up, run my thumb along the seal. Do I really want to read her last words? My chest tightens. Maybe I do. Maybe it'll give me closure or open old wounds. After a moment's hesitation, I tear it open. Inside is a letter, handwritten in her looping script. Matt, if you're reading this, thank you for letting me speak one last time. I loved you once, I swear I did. You were my safe place, my home. But somewhere along the line, I lost myself. I let the excitement of something new tempt me. I betrayed you. No excuses. I hoped that by denying it, it would go away. That if you never found out, we could pretend everything was fine. But the baby changed that. The baby is innocent. He deserves truth, even if we both handled it wrong. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know how sorry I am for breaking your heart. You didn't deserve any of this. I hope someday you find peace, maybe even love again. You're a good man, Matt. Don't let my mistakes ruin you. Becky. I finish reading, my eyes burning. A mix of sorrow and anger swells inside me. Part of me wants to tear the letter to shreds. Part of me wants to store it away as a reminder of what I survived. In the end, I fold it neatly, slide it back into the envelope, and place it in the trash can. My hands linger, but I don't reclaim it. I let it stay there, among the coffee-stained napkins and crumpled receipts. In the weeks that follow, Becky moves out of state. She texts me once, saying she's on the road, wishing me well. I don't respond. Dante tries calling again. I block his number. I sell half my stuff, store the rest, and move into a modest apartment closer to my workplace. It's small, bland, but it's mine. I stand in the living room the first night, staring at the blank walls. My mind drifts to the old house. I force the thoughts away. One day, while unpacking boxes, I come across a photo of me holding the baby. He's just a few weeks old in the picture, eyes barely open. My face shines with pride and wonder. I almost don't recognize that version of myself. Naive, hopeful. For a moment, I consider setting it in a frame. Then I realize how foolish that would be. I slip it into a drawer, out of sight. Life turns into a series of routines. Work, grocery shopping, evenings spent alone. My mother calls, urging me to date again. But I'm nowhere near ready. My sister asks if I want to join her family for the holidays. I politely decline. I'm not in the mood for cheerful gatherings. The emptiness inside me is still raw, though less suffocating with each passing day. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the baby's laugh, or the softness of Becky's voice. A pang of regret surfaces, but I cling to the knowledge that staying would have broken me more. Coldness was my shield. Maybe that's my new emotion. Numb survival. And survival, I find, is enough for now. Months roll on, and the winter snows come and go. I focus on rebuilding, piece by piece. I get a promotion at work, which helps me afford a better apartment. I buy some decent furniture, though I still leave the walls mostly bare. Let's not rush to fill spaces. One evening, after a tense day of meetings, I step out onto my new balcony. The city lights twinkle below. I take a sip of whiskey, letting the burn settle in my chest. My phone is next to me, silent. I haven't heard from Becky in ages. I assume she's building a life somewhere else, maybe reconciling with Dante, maybe not. A wave of bitterness tries to creep in, but I push it away. I remind myself I'm free now. Free from the lies, the nights of suspicion, the gnawing pain of betrayal. Free to start over, though starting over at my age isn't easy. But I'll manage. I always do. I recall the final line of her letter. Don't let my mistakes ruin you. In that moment, standing there in the cold air, I decide I won't let her betrayal define me for the rest of my days. She took a piece of me, but not everything. There's still enough left to rebuild. I finish my drink, letting the warmth spread through me. The city lights blur a little as I blink away the sting of tears. A small wry smile forms on my lips. I exhale, watching the breath vaporize into the night sky. This is the final word, I think to myself. The last page in a chapter of betrayal and heartbreak. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and face whatever's next, one steady step at a time. And that is enough. I will not rage. I will not weep. I will simply move forward, with a heart that's battered but still beating, determined to find a life beyond this cold emptiness. Maybe that's what redemption really looks like, living on, even when every memory tries to drag you back. Maybe I'm not the hero I once believed myself to be. But I'm here, breathing in the night air, eyes fixed on a future that no longer includes her. And that, for now, is the closest thing to victory I can claim.